Welcome back. Week 6 of the Fellowship.
Week what?
Week 6.
D9.
Week 69. Minus 63 episodes. Did I do that math right? Week 6. We are very happy to be doing another episode. We have a great guest.
A real guest.
Yeah, actually.
And a real golfer.
Yeah.
Style.
A golfer type style guest. Is that what you meant to say?
Yeah. It rolls off the tongue nice, doesn't it?
It's going to be hard to upgrade from Shaddy, but we're going to try. If everything goes to plan, G-Off Extreme Overstreet will not be stumbling in, knocking over the boom mics. We hope everyone watched episode 5.
We locked the front door.
That was quite a moment. But there's sure to be some more moments to follow as soon as we get the Glen Morangi poured. Yes, please. Make it stiff. Make it tall. I need one today.
Are you going to drink it this time or just let it sit there?
No, I'm going to drink it. We got to get drunk for our guest because he's not drinking, so we're going to have to do double the drinking for him. You ready to do it?
I guess so.
Okay.
Well, I'm the resident guest, so I don't have to do shit.
Fair enough. Let's get the show started. Cheers.
Sure. Oh, your drink's already here.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
How did that happen?
Look at that. Look at that, Adam.
Well, glad it's here. Glad you're here. Hate to give you compliments, but but you look amazing. For the listeners who aren't watching, I just extended my hand for a handshake and was
thank you very little.
Dismissed. Thank you for being here. You do look great. Can you tell us about this jacket? Is it actually camel fur?
Yeah, it's a camel fur sport coat. I actually got married in this jacket, and haven't worn it since. Put it on, got here to the show, and it had a cigar that was 3 years old in it.
Very nice.
Shriveled up.
Yeah, that's great. So you didn't get to the cigar on the wedding day?
I probably had multiple cigars, and that was just what we call a Larry, like a wounded soldier, someone left behind.
Yeah.
That's what our friend group calls those, and that is chalked up to Larry cigar for me on the wedding night.
Great. Mm-hmm. So this isn't related to golf. This is just kind of related to, this is the part of the show where we kind of like to catch the viewers up on what we've been doing this week. You came in yesterday and told me, and I quote, we've gotten out of control, we've gotten fat, we both need to lose 25 pounds. It's time for a health kick. And,
weren't we talking about McDonald's on the last episode too?
Yeah, we were talking about McDonald's, but you said, look, we need to go on a 30-day break from McDonald's, we need to get into shape, we're out of control right now. I did not expect to hear this from you. So that was interesting. I do agree with you that we both need to lose some weight.
Now, for the viewers at home, I want to clarify a little something. I was committing to one of the meals a day being healthy.
Which was lunch.
Lunch. So all bets are off for dinner. I'm still putting butter in the skillet and taking the spoon and flicking it on top of the ribeye. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So definitely not sacrificing the evening meal, as they say. Mm-hmm. But midday, I think we could do a little better.
So I bring that up because today is day 2 of the health kick.
Yeah.
And you text me and say, I'm bringing in lunch. And I'm like, oh, I wonder what it is. Is it a kale salad? What is it? And it's a BLT with extra mayo on white bread. Yeah. So this health kick lasted all of about 24 hours before yourself
there's
bring
iceberg lettuce, fresh tomato.
Yeah.
Tomato, whatever you want to call it. And it was actually oat nut bread, so you're wrong there. But definitely a lot of mayo. That's a secret to a BLT, is a lot of mayo. But mayo's not bad for you. It's just whipped eggs and fucking oil or whatever the hell they put in there.
Sure. I think the secret to a diet is not hitting BLTs for lunch on day 2.
Well, you were saying the other day that the keto diet is heavy on the bacon, so I figured, maybe we'll lose some weight eating a BLT.
Yeah, minus the mayo and the bread and everything else you put on it. Delicious sandwich, by the way. You make a mean BLT.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Also, I got that text message today from a barber shop, if you can call it a barber shop. I was in a pinch today, and I had to go to Supercuts.
That is not a barber shop.
Okay, it's not a barber shop. It's a chain haircut place. But I went to Supercuts.
Supercuts is like the Tinder of haircut places. It's like your last resort. You're just like, fuck, I can't find a female. I'm just going to start swiping right, dude.
Right. And I could not find a place that was open, and so I went to Supercuts. Now, I would argue that my hair...
You seem like a Sports Clips kind of guy.
Hey, turn on... if I'm at Sports Clips, I want them to turn on whatever channel Ted Sobel is on. I love to watch Ted Sobel while I'm getting my hair cut. But no, I was at Supercuts today, and I bring it up because I think I look great. I think my hair looks awesome. Can you notice the difference between a supercut and a barbershop cut?
100%.
How?
For one, they use a more professional clipper and style. And then if you're going to a real traditional barbershop, I am a frequent guest at King's Club Barbershop in Dana Point, California. Shout out to King's Club. They are traditional barbers, straight razor finish, warm
Towel?
warm shaving cream, hot towel.
Yeah.
The handheld back massager before, pomade, the whole 9 yards. There's an art to that, to men's grooming. And these chop shops just don't get it. You can't just buy a set of oysters and fucking change the clip and go, all right, next. You basically, you got a shitty lawn mowed is what you did.
Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
It looks good on you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Supercuts is responsible
How
for
much was it?
$23. It was...
Well, you get what you pay for.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We have a wonderful guest today. This is the first time in show history where I'm bringing on someone from my world.
This better be good, Pally.
It's been just us going through your yearbook and picking out high school friends and bringing them back. But we have a great guest today, which I'm really excited about. In fact,
I'm gonna bring my high school yearbook in here next time.
please do.
Yeah.
We're gonna need a guest for next week.
We can start reading all the fucking goodbyes in there and shit.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
A lot of chicks.
Is that right?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to taking a look at that. In fact, let's make sure that we do that for the horse hockey segment next week.
There's that word again.
Let's
horse
make
hockey.
sure that we read through
Very
your back.
avant-garde of you to keep using horse hockey.
Hey, thank you. So our guest today is a 3-time Golden Mike Award winner. He is the author of a new book called Touching Greatness. I have the book.
Completely out of our league as a guest.
It's a fantastic book. He covered the first Olympics in 776 BC. He's old.
Jesus, what up?
He's old, but if you know anything about Nation Golf, we adore old people.
Nobody loves old people more than me. I feel like I'm Donald Trump saying that.
Well, we love old people, and we can't wait to talk to this guy. He is my friend. He's about to become all of your friends. Ladies and gentlemen, Ted Sobel. Ted, come on in here.
All right, bud.
Than's for being here.
Thanks,
Appreciate
guys.
it.
Where do you want me to sit?
Take
Right
my
here?
seat,
Right
Ted.
here, Ted.
You deserve it. I warmed it up for you, bud.
I feel so much better now that you appreciate old people.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, well, you better make this fast because I don't have much time.
Why, you got to get at dinner?
No, I'm old.
Well, it's 1 p.m., so I was wondering if you
But
guys...
it doesn't
are
matter
ready
what
for
time of the
special.
day. It matters what day of the calendar it is.
Normally,
I'm old, I said, didn't I?
Normally, I don't have any notes prepared, but you have lived such a distinguished life in broadcast media, specifically golf, which is why we want to have you on, that I have pages and pages of notes here. So forgive me for holding this, but I don't want to forget anything that we're going to talk about. Just to set the background a little bit, you and I met in 2014 at KFWB, a radio station that you worked at.
KFWB.
One more time, that was great. Come on, I gotta get
Actually, that was not our slogan, but it sounded good.
that was
Los Angeles.
that was fantastic. It should have been. We wouldn't have gone under if we had that.
Yeah. 23 years I was there.
23 years. You've won 3 Golden Mics for excellent broadcasting.
Thank you. Should have been 10, but that's okay.
Whoa.
Hey.
Who beat you out?
It's not who beat me out. It's the fact that they didn't enter me when I had, like, locks. I'm not a big awards guy. It's always nice.
You don't
It's
sound
not
like it.
I don't really need an award for anything.
Yeah.
But
I could think
Shoulda
of 10
had.
awards I should have had.
Yeah.
Also.
yeah, but you're making it up. I'm not. That's a big
Well,
difference.
I'd give him the best BLT award. That was.
Hey, fuck.
I'm still thinking about
After
that.
you
statement.
threw
By
me
the
under
way,
the bus on
my
diet.
cholesterol level went up just watching the Open. But go ahead.
So you have worked in the sports media business forever. You and I met in 2014. I was told by a person that worked there who knows his stuff, Joe Safety, you got to talk to Teddy Legend. He knows everybody. He's been everywhere. Just go sit down and be a sponge. And I think I was one of the few guys at that station who was always looking for a Ted Sobel story.
I think you're right. And I don't know why, but I was the only guy still left over from the previous regime.
Right.
And a lot of guys didn't take advantage of it, but hey, it's their loss, whatever.
And I love hearing these stories. So when I purchased your book,
Yes.
Touching Greatness,
Thank you.
off of Amazon.com, a fine book retailer. I opened up the first page to the acknowledgments. Didn't see myself in there. And
I'd forget you too.
Yeah, and
I was going to say, Ryan hasn't acknowledged you since you started working with him.
all right,
So why should I?
Hey, there's an art to that.
I know. You get what you pay for.
Yeah.
You've probably been asked this a bunch of times. I know you're on the book tour. Every
Yes.
time I turn on the local news, you're hanging out with Rob Fukazawa. I'm sorry
Fukuzaki.
Fukuzaki.
Yes, thank you.
Great guy, by the way. I did not mean to butcher his last name. He is a wonderful guy. You're on the local news all the time now.
Oh.
And so I'm sure you get asked this. It's probably the first question anyone gets asked when they write a book. Why write a book? And the reason I ask is we've had to listen to 40,000 Ted Sobel updates over the years. Did you think the world just needed more Ted Sobel?
No. Well, those are Ted Sobel updates talking about other stuff.
Okay, very
They weren't
good.
talking about me. Exactly. You know what? I didn't think I was ever going to write a book. It wasn't even a thought up until about 20 years ago when literally people started saying, Ted, you got this story about Ted Williams, about Arnold Palmer, about Joe DiMaggio, about this guy, that. You got to write a book someday. And I said, I don't think so. First of all, nobody gives a damn about my life. And they're really not going to give a damn after watching this thing. But the bottom line is, well, although they might acknowledge me more than I acknowledged you.
Fair
in the
enough.
book.
Very good.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yep.
Anyway.
Loud and clear,
Geez, you
Ted.
make me feel
Loud and
real
clear.
bad that I didn't mention your name in there.
Yeah.
You know, if you would have given me the same amount of cash the other guys gave me, you would have had a shot at it.
Hey, give him $20, have him sign your book, and you can pencil
I'll
your
write your
fucking
name in.
right in there.
Exactly.
Fair enough.
As a matter of fact, that's a lock. When we're done, I'm putting your name in the acknowledgement.
I can't wait. You and I ran into each other at Riviera Country Club in 2018.
Yes.
It was behind 17 green. I was about to walk down the 18th hole. It was Saturday of the Genesis Open. I was so happy to see you. I hadn't seen you in a while. And you told me, I'm writing a book. This was 3 years ago.
Okay.
Now the book is out. How does it feel to be able to tangibly hold a book with your face and Kobe Bryant's face on it? And it says Touching Greatness, and it's got your byline. And it's an oversized book. If I don't, it's a huge book, 258 pages. How does it feel to have it done and be able to hold it?
It feels fantastic because it was about 3,000 hours worth of work. A lot of that just is not as much just writing, but research, because I got a lot of referencing going back to wherever, right? And I want to make sure every single fact is exact. I'm not like the idiots of the world right now. Oh, whatever. The facts in there are not important. Yes, they are. Okay? The word journalism is dying rapidly, and it needs to come back immediately.
I love that.
And maybe it'll come back in my next life, which is rapidly approaching, by the way. But separate issue. Bottom line to me is I want people to know the facts about my stories. So I went back and I actually had a subscription to newspapers.com.
Wow.
And I look back like Arnold Palmer, 1955, and whatever date, boom, it pops up and you find whatever newspapers they had in their archives. And it is great. So I spent
I'm
a
gonna look
lot
into
of
that.
time
That's
doing
pretty cool.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really neat.
Yeah.
You strike me as a guy that would like a newspaper, maybe just
The idea of that era of just going out there in the morning, flipping a pot of coffee on, walking out in your robe and slippers and grabbing the paper and coming in and, flipping through that thing and seeing what the fuck was going on in the world. That's just cool shit.
Yeah.
You know what the best
And it's
part-
over now,
It's totally over.
Yeah.
And it's sad. And you know what people are missing out on? Now, I don't know how many folks ended up doing what I did, but I was really lucky. When my dad, he would always bring home the Sunday newspaper, right? And it was, in those days, it was this
one,
thick.
yeah.
Now it's like about this. But it was really thick with everything in there. But he would say, Teddy, come on over here. It's Sunday. And I would jump into bed, and we would just lean back in the bed, and he'd pick up the comics, and he would read the entire comic strip to me and my sister.
that's great.
Every single
Little
Sunday.
did you know, on the other side was the Nordstrom's women's underwear section.
No, Nordstrom's didn't exist then.
It was,
not in LA.
It was Montgomery Ward.
Now, very good, very
I
good.
told you he knew his shit.
That's unbelievable.
You guys might have a little generational
A lot of
gap.
people call
Yeah,
that
but how do you?
Montville
But
Mary,
how
by
do
the way.
you get this stuff? You have like an old soul.
Yeah,
And
well,
did you-
everyone always tells me that for sure, but nowadays you can research stuff that you're into, and I'm into that stuff. But like we were talking about before the show, and my influence, I just had really fucking cool grandparents.
That's great.
I remember there was a little downhill and a turn before my house, and I would skate from high school back to the house.
Right.
And every now and then I would make that turn on the corner, and I'd see my grandma's Cadillac in the driveway, and it was like whatever I had planned, surfing, hanging out with my friends, all bets were off. When I saw Grandma's Cadillac, it gives me the goosebumps.
I mean, them visiting your house.
Yeah, it was like, I am going straight out back. She's playing gin rummy with my dad, smoking cigarettes, folding laundry, perfect. We're going out to dinner that night. It was like, Grandma's in town. I can't wait to hang out with this woman. She was just so fucking cool.
That's great.
And I think I just picked up on so much of that stuff, unbeknownst to me at the time, but now as you get older, you start realizing what your influences were. And, man, they really influenced me a lot. So
That's great. I like
that analog era, I guess, is the best way to put it. Paper, radio, magazines.
Ted
Sobel. No, real journalism, real broadcasting, real stuff. There was just a.
You mean not like podcasts, which aren't real?
Yeah. Take it easy.
Well, hey,
I'm just saying.
Take it easy.
how many podcasts have you seen with a beautiful male like myself drinking
Not many.
scotch and smoking a cigar?
It's a bit of a throwback. You look at the set that we have here. We are trying to throw it back. But speaking of inspiration, Ryan just talked about his. Your dad was a big inspiration.
Huge.
Bernie. And Bernie was actually the one who told you to take up the game of golf. Now, despite the fact that he did not play golf, he felt it was important for you to play. Why did Bernie, your father, think it was important for you to play golf?
Several reasons. First of all, he said it's something you could do for the rest of your life as long as you stay reasonably healthy. Second of all, he said it's great for business. It's great for socializing. You get somebody, if you're in an actual business and you doing business on a golf course, because you spend 4 to 5 hours with whomever, they're going to, after a while, hopefully trust you, right? As long as they don't see you moving your ball every 5 minutes. Like, we won't mention any names right now.
Oh, we will.
Oh, well, not yet, I'd say.
But we will.
Yeah,
You know what really struck a chord with me, what you just said?
What's that?
Reasonably healthy. That's something that I personally strive for.
Yeah.
Yes, not healthy, reasonably
Yeah,
healthy.
well, it's good that reasonable BLT at the turn, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
You be careful. This guy might get a reasonably healthy tattoo next time he's in the shop.
That is true. Now, your
Really?
dad,
I got Ted Sobel to work.
he didn't. Your dad did not play golf.
No.
He told you to play golf. There is a story in the book that your father played one round of golf and he achieved quite a rarity in the game. Could you tell us that?
And I hate him forever for that.
Wow.
Because of the fact that he supposedly, and my father was an honest SOB. I mean, there was no bullshit in his life. None. Whatever he said was the truth. He didn't have time for BS. It was like a total waste of his effort. It's the old story. You use up more effort being a jerk than you do being a nice person.
How about that?
It's the same thing. When you lie,
You got to keep lying.
then you have to lie on top of the lie to make the lie look good.
That sounds like a lot of effort.
And this
Sounds like my life.
I've heard.
Don't tell anyone.
I'm
We've
not.
all heard.
Yes, anyway, so my father would have never lied about that. He had no reason to. He wasn't somebody who boasted about things or anything. But he only told me once about it when I was a little kid. I totally forgot about it. He died when I was 19. And then some years later, I don't even remember why it happened, but I'm talking to my mother and she said, we maybe had something, I mentioned golf. He said, hey, you remember when your father, he talked about, and I said, I actually don't remember that. He had a hole-in-one. He didn't even know how to grip a club. So he came home and he was on cloud 9. He had no idea what he was doing, and he had a hole-in-one in the first round he ever played in his life. I think he played a couple of rounds on a real course, and that was it.
Wow.
Just with friends.
Wow.
Because he didn't know how to play.
That's incredible.
Yep.
So,
And by the way, I still haven't had one.
neither have I. Ryan has had 3.
Really?
Yeah.
At least he tells you he's had
Well,
three.
what was
Well, actually, he has some evidence hanging right
Really?
above us.
Oh, that's great.
You know what was great is I was like you and like so many that played the game. I played for a long time.
Yeah.
And I didn't have my first one until I was like 25 or something like that. And I'd been playing since I was a little
Am I
kid.
supposed to think that's a long time?
Well, no, I mean I've been playing since I was fucking 6. You know what I mean?
So I
it's like,
started when I was in high school.
Yeah.
I didn't play as a
and
kid.
I played a lot, and then I played in periods very seriously. So you get close so many times. We've all been close, and you're just
Right.
like you have that feeling that I'm getting to where it's like I don't know if it's ever going to fucking happen.
Yeah.
You know, and I got my first one, which was a wonderful story. It was at a friend's bachelor party, and I got tackled by 8 people, and it was memorable. And then,
You got video on that, by the way?
No, I have pictures.
Okay.
But
That's nice.
Literally almost 10 years later, you know, I had that same feeling like, fuck, maybe I'll never get another one, you know? And then I got 2 in the same fucking month.
What?
And then I was telling my buddy, Steve, I was like, you know what? I think I unlocked it. I think I'm just going to start getting hole-in-ones. Haven't had one since.
You think of turning pro about right there or no?
No. But
I was going to say, that's not too bad.
No, that's very good.
yeah, but it's one of those things in golf. I think it's one of the great things about golf, because we've said this before in prior shows. You could be playing with your friends or playing partners. You could be in a match. You could be at each other's throats, talking massive amounts of shit, mad as hell at whomever you're playing with, and someone can get a hole-in-one, and the playing partners are it's arguably just as happy and exciting as the guy.
Absolutely
and I
true.
think that speaks volumes of where the game is deep rooted, as far as the fellowship and the traditions, the gentleman aspect of the game, the royal and ancient aspect of the game. And I think that's just wonderful. I wish that we could have, you know, met your dad and talked about how he got a hole-in-one playing by himself, you know, with no one looking.
Oh, if he was sitting here right now, I can only imagine what it would be.
Yeah.
and he'd be smoking your cigar.
yeah, I'd like that.
Yeah.
Or you'd be begging for his
I
Cubans,
think I'm
by
a
the
Bernie
way.
guy. I think I
But
could
by the
safely say.
way, I've only seen one hole-in-one in person in my life while playing, and I was playing a Pro-Am at the Kraft Nabisco. I can't remember what year.
Dinah Shore.
Maybe 2012-ish.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Shan Feng, who turned out to be #1 in the world. She wanted to be called Jenny Money. She was a
What a
nobody then.
name.
Yes, especially for a girl from China. Jenny Money.
I knew a couple strippers named Jenny Money.
I bet you did. But anyway, I could see you flipping coins to them now.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Coins.
They're like, sir, no
exactly.
no more pennies on the tip bar, sir.
Anyway, but she had a hole-in-one,
Yeah.
and it was like I've never seen one before, and it was at the Dinah Shore course, of course. It was a Pro-Am.
And like I said, you're just so when it goes in, it's like you're seeing a fucking ghost. It's
Yeah.
so exciting.
So I took a picture of her reaching
Getting it
down to
out.
get the
Yeah,
ball out,
that's awesome.
and then we took a picture together, and she's holding up #1.
That's awesome. Great.
And it's a lot of fun. And then she ended up being #1 in the
That's
world.
awesome.
It's like, it's like that #1 means a heck of a lot more. And I saw her last year actually earlier this year at the at Wilshire Country Club when the LPGA was here. And I walked over, and I've seen her a few times over the years. And I said, so have you had a hole-in-one since that time? She didn't remember. She said, oh, yeah, that's right. I was with you. I remember that now. She says, I haven't had a hole-in-one since.
Really?
No. So #1 in the world.
Now,
you lucky bastard.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, and I know that because they are that rare.
And they're also incredibly lucky.
Yeah. And
Incredibly.
Yeah.
so I wanted to ask you,
Yes.
because I know you know a lot about LT Gray, Mr. Eldrick
of him.
Woods.
Yeah.
I read somewhere recently that he hasn't had one since like 99 or 2001 or something
That
like that.
I don't know, but it wouldn't shock me.
Yeah.
Again, you could be the greatest player who ever lived by
That's what I'm
far.
saying.
It's so much luck. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, you could have the perfect shot.
And
And
it
how
still
about if a
doesn't
little wind comes up or,
yeah.
anything?
Sure.
So I missed it by maybe about 5 inches or so.
Mm-hmm.
That's a close eye. And that was at Sherwood Country Club,
Ooh,
par
baby.
3. The uphill,
That's a nice little muni, isn't it?
yeah, it's a decent one. Well, you got a chance to play. Well, I got to play the Pro-Am every year with
They got
Tiger's
some
Tournament.
cute casitas around the course.
Yeah,
it's not too bad.
just some modest, humble home.
One of the best perks about doing what I do is getting to play some of the greatest
Fuck, I
courses
bet.
of all
So
time.
when are we gonna hang out after this? Let's get.
I
let's
don't
get
do much
loose.
of that anymore. You can hang out with me, but you won't. I haven't played golf in a year and a half.
I'll take you out there.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll have a good time. We used to play golf together when we
Yeah.
worked together. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You gave me some great advice after a club throw. And by the way, I think I was throwing clubs that you sold me. You sold me my first set of legitimate clubs.
I thought you were throwing because you hated them.
Well, could have been a combo of both.
Adam hates himself.
R7s, right?
TaylorMade R7s. Yeah, when I got to the company, Ryan Engle made sure that I threw those in the garbage because he said, we don't play TaylorMades at Nation Golf. We play
Wow.
Ping I2s and older.
You literally threw them in the garbage?
No, I did not.
I feel bad.
No, I took them to Roger Dunn and they gave me $16.
They gave you $1.25.
Well,
Yeah.
a little bit more.
$16?
Yeah, that was
That's it?
Well, Roger gave him 8, and the other guy gave Dunn gave him
Dunn
the
kicked
other.
in a little bit.
Yeah.
Wow.
After that club throw, when we played together, you gave me some advice that has stuck with me since then and will stick with me for the rest of my life. You told me you will never be good enough to get that mad. And since then,
That's great advice.
It's profound advice. I have given that advice to many people.
And they got mad at you for doing it.
Well, because people don't like to hear the truth.
Yeah.
Of course.
Because the first half of that statement is you'll never be good enough.
Right.
Dot.
Oh,
to
you're
get that
telling
mad.
me I'm not going to be good? Yes, we are telling
Yeah,
you that.
and it's more.
Yes, we are.
I got one better than that.
What's
That's
that?
in the same vein, and I've had a friend tell me this once because we had a playing partner, a good friend of ours, and he's a club thrower as well. And he's out there throwing his temper tantrum, and the good friend leans over to me and he goes, "What's the difference between an 85 and an 89?"
You mean to him?
Yeah, like he's saying that to me about him, and basically what he's getting at is it's not worth getting mad over. You know, like you're an 85 golfer, you're throwing your club because you just double bogey. What's the fucking big idea?
Yeah, but I think the other way of
Right.
saying it is a lot stronger.
Oh, yeah,
and being,
100%.
and not being a jerk about it, but just being honest. It's like, hey, buddy, it's like, are you going to be mad that you don't hit home runs against Nolan Ryan or something? You're an idiot if you're mad.
Yeah, it's
You're-
a very
I mean,
hard game.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I haven't thrown a club since, and
Really good.
I've actually passed that advice on.
Good. I hope they paid attention.
Yeah, and they should. But yeah, that was a great coincidence that you sold me my first set of clubs that I went airmailing. You have another great saying that golf is a gentleman's game, but the gentleman doesn't have to be a prick.
Yes. Write that
I
down.
love that.
Yeah. And now this goes with the conversation we were having a week ago when I invited you on the show, where Ryan and I feel like the gentleman's aspect and the tradition and the soul of golf has been lost. You've been around covering golf for a long time. Do you feel like the soul and the tradition and the elements that make golf stand the test of time for as long as it has, decades and decades and decades, do you feel like that's on a decline right now?
It's on a decline, but I think there are enough good people out there that's sort of keeping it still going. The question is, where will the spiral go? Downhill or back up again? I think there's enough quality guys and girls out there that are saying, you know what, I respect the tradition and the history of this game to the point where I'm not going to screw it up and I'm not going to make an ass out of myself, because that's really what you're doing. To the people who respect, it's the word respect. It's not just about golf. It's on the planet Earth right now. The word respect is like journalism. It's being melted in front of our faces, and it's going down the tubes in a hurry. And if you don't respect, I'm not going to get into politics, but I can tell you, the idea of no vaccination right now, it means you don't respect your fellow man. You don't give a damn about them. You only care about yourself. Okay?
Well, okay. You said you wouldn't get into politics, Ted, and you just...
And by the way, but by the way, that shouldn't be about politics.
Okay.
That should be about what you think about morality. That's
Okay.
not political. It became political in the last few years.
Fair
shouldn't
enough. And in the interest of keeping this show apolitical,
Thank you very
as they
much.
like to say, let's steer it back towards golf.
Yes.
In this book, you interview a lot of Hall of Famers from all over sports, but you've got a great section on Arnold Palmer. We have described Arnold Palmer as our company's North Star. Ryan loves Arnold Palmer.
Now, why? I'd like to know why first before we get
Okay,
into
go
that.
ahead.
What is it about Arnold, about anybody? I mean, you got Jack, you got Gary, you got Trevino, whatever.
Well, Arnold's the glue of true golf. You know, Jack was a great competitive golfer, but Arnie was without Arnie, there wouldn't have been a Tiger Woods. There wouldn't have been $1 million purses. There wouldn't have been.
No doubt.
I mean, he built. They did a great thing with Augusta. They had an unbelievable tournament, whatever. But Arnie put that tournament on his back, and it was his success and him coming into TV. He made golf for the common people, and with all this grow the game slogans and shit out there, it's like they have a lot to tip their cap to towards the king.
No doubt.
And my grandparents knew that, and they were from that era, so he was the king, and we were fortunate enough to have him over to the house and those years in the mid '80s during the Hope, and as you know more than even us, that he treated everybody like he gave you the time. He actually gave you, when he shook anyone's hand, he looked you in the eyes and he made you feel like he was listening, and he was.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy spent 6 figures on return postage just because he answered every fucking piece
true.
of fan mail.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable that what he was able to do with his stardom will not only never be repeated, but I think it's impossible to repeat.
Well, I actually mentioned the fact of how Arnold signed his name,
Yeah.
showing what kind of a person he was,
Yes.
and telling everybody, all the kids today, you just scribble your name. Now, I just recently learned, this really makes me feel like a dinosaur, that they don't even teach cursive writing
No,
anymore.
they don't.
I didn't know that.
They don't.
So, because I don't have kids. That scares the crap out of me. That means you can't even sign your name legitimately. I mean, without a scribble.
Yeah.
That makes no sense.
I
Arnold
can't-
would be grabbing everybody by the
yeah.
lapel and saying, "What the hell are you
Yeah.
doing? You got to be able to read your name. What do you think?"
It's your brand. That's your brand. And
Not
he
only
made it
that,
his brand.
but
you know?
20 years from, forget 20 years from now, 5 years from now, you're going to pick that up. Who the hell is that?
Yeah, totally.
You know, it's like, come on.
I also just think that it shows that you really care about the individual
No
you're
doubt.
signing for.
Absolutely.
The two best signatures in terms of penmanship and legibility are Arnold Palmer and Tony Gwynn. And these guys signed and signed and signed for hours and hours every single day. And to take the time to clearly write it so someone can read it years and years later, you brought in a lot of great stuff today. You brought in photo albums that had us just floored. You've got these old pictures of Arnold Palmer that are signed, and every single one of his signatures, I had to ask you, is this a real signature? Because
They look
almost,
fake.
it looks fake.
They look fake.
It almost looks
Looks like a stamp.
yes.
But you know what? To
Yes.
watch him sign,
Oh, yeah.
it was like watching an artist because he was doing the A, and
Yeah.
then the P was always the. I mean, I'd stand there and watch him. It was like
Yeah.
it's unbelievable. Nobody took the time to do that like him. But the younger guys, when he would say to them, "Hey, you're signing those flags. I can't tell what name that is."
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah.
love that about
Yeah.
that.
No, that's great, and that's respect.
Yep.
That's passing it down. These are lessons that you learn. This is why we love old people, because they're the smartest and they are teaching you these lessons, and it's whether or not you want to listen to them and continue to
But
pass
when
them
did
down.
respect become a 4-letter word? I don't understand that.
Wow.
You know,
Well said.
Because now, instead of respect, it's about your personal comfort.
it's
and your-
about me.
Yeah,
Everything.
yeah.
It's about the 2-letter word or one, me or I.
Yeah.
That's it. It's like, okay, you want to do that the rest of your life?
Yeah.
Good luck to you. But you know, for history purposes,
Yeah.
it's going to be remembered.
Yeah. When did you first meet Arnold Palmer?
Wow. First time I met Arnold, well, you know, I saw him a lot of times, but I would say the first time was as an adult.
Yeah.
Covering one of the later tournaments of his career when he'd come to L.A. and he played at Riviera, and it was just a matter of one of the guys sticking a microphone in his mouth, you know, but hanging around him. Then they'd do some small talk, and he wasn't just, oh, you know, we're done, and he'd walk away. He'd continue to just sort of hang out with you
he'd
if
invite
he
you to
wasn't in
dinner.
a,
Yeah.
exactly
Right.
if he wasn't in a hurry.
Yeah.
You know, and I got a great story in the book, not in this one, in a future volume of Touching Greatness, about
His grandson.
his grandson
Yes.
and being at his house in the desert, and how the guy was over there fixing up his house, and they wanted
That was what I read last night.
yeah, he was in a hurry,
Yeah.
but it was like, no, Arnold says, no, you can stay with us, and they were drinking together,
And you know
it's
what-
like, you're Arnold Palmer, you don't do it's like, that's why I'm Arnold Palmer,
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a
Isn't that a great story?
It is. I mean, and you know what's crazy about him is, I mean, I have a story similar to that, and there's probably thousands of others.
Can you
know?
tell your? I love your story. Tell
Yeah, I want to hear it
Arnold
too.
Palmer's story.
So in
Absolutely.
'86, my grandparents were still at Bermuda Dunes,
Yep.
and they were the host club that year for the Hope. And so the big shebang after the tournament was at the club, at Bermuda Dunes.
Yep.
And so at that time in '86, Arnie was still on the tour, but he was, you know, he had the biggest galleries and shit for the Hope, but you know, he wasn't nowhere near winning. But you know, he was playing with either Bob or a couple other celebrities or what have you,
president.
or a president. And you know, back then the volunteers at each host club, you could sign up for whatever. My grandma signed up. She was first in line. She knew because it was like this was our year. She signed up to be the official scorekeeper in Arnie's group
Oh, very
on the
nice.
last day.
Beautiful.
And she was able to drive her Cushman golf cart. She had a house on 9, and on 9, I was 6 years old. She picked me up, and I sat on her lap and steered for the last 9 holes
that's great.
with Arnie. And Arnie was just
love this.
behind the ropes the whole 9 yards. And at the end of it, she just comes up because you know she would keep the score, and then they'd
Sure.
you know exchange the cards and go into the tent. And she goes, "Hey Arnie, we're having a big party over at the house after the shindig. We'd love for you to stop by." And he's like, Phyllis, talk to my guy. And points to his right-hand man. He's like, give him the address, you know? So she gives him the address, and we were just like,
He'll never show up.
yeah, whatever. And so I'm asleep on the couch. My grandma used to she was a female Dean Martin. I mean, the mood lights, the music playing, the cocktails going. Like, my mom would be making chicken wings and shit, and fucking Mr. Palmer
Just standing at the front door.
comes on in, parties with him all night till 2 a.m.
Really?
Ate my mom's chicken wings. To this day, my mom always, when she makes the chicken wings for Christmas, as like an appetizer, she goes, "Arnie loved my chicken wings."
Of course you should say that.
And because he was like, oh, I love these wings,
That
Kathy,
is
this
awesome.
and that. And so on his way out the door, my grandma was just like, "Oh shit, I got to get something to sign for Ryan." So she runs out to the garage, grabs a bottle of Pennzoil, and he signs the bottle.
A can or a bottle?
It was 86, so they still have the bottles.
Really?
And signs best wishes, Arnold Palmer.
Did you get any pictures at all?
No, I mean back then no one
I know,
had
but you
cameras.
might have had a Polaroid or anything.
Fuck, I wish I did.
Oh, that's too bad. But that is a phenomenal
Hell
story.
of a story, isn't it?
It's phenomenal.
And by the way,
But that's how he treated
Of course.
people, everyone like that.
who on tour could or would ever do that? One. And two, how much has the tour changed? You don't have local scorekeepers following you around, inviting you to parties, having their grandson on their
Well, we
lap.
touched on that. That's where I'd say that the individual tournaments have lost their culture. Back in the day, you can attest to this. Each tournament had, whether it was the Clam Bake, the Bob Hope, the LA Open, the Phoenix Open, Harbor Town, wherever. Every tournament had like an identity and a culture, and and a lot of it was the club culture within that was hosting it, and
It's
the
one
pros
word.
loved it.
It's corporate. That's the whole problem.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's all about how do we get it into this window on a network broadcast. That's all that matters. The rest is like, good luck.
Yeah.
We'll see you next year.
Yeah.
That's all that matters.
Right.
So, like the LA Chamber of Commerce always ran the LA Open for many, many, many years.
Yeah.
Right? So I got a great story that a guy that you said, well, who else would do what Arnold did?
Yeah.
I can't remember what year it is now. I want to say it was about the early 2000s, maybe. Mike Weir won the LA Open. Okay, went back to do his media stuff right afterwards. And when it was all over, we all knew who he was, but he wasn't a big winner yet on tour. It's one of his first wins, I believe, on tour. So when it was all over, I got a little one-on-one with him. I said, I do a Sunday night show on KFWB. It's just a sports call-in show. It's 1 hour. I said, would you come on with us tonight? He goes, of course. Just give me the number to call in.
Wow.
So you never know if guys got,
Yeah.
of course? No, it's not of course. Like nobody in the entire field would say of course.
Well, good on you for asking. That's kind of what has made you you.
Well, you have to ask because they won't read your mind.
Yes, that's true. But you're not afraid to ask. No. You show up everywhere. You talk to everyone. Before we get off of the Arnold Palmer.
Can I finish the weird story real quick?
Oh, I didn't know it was over.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
So he calls in.
No, so he calls in and he apologizes because he called in like 30 seconds late. He's on his cell phone in his car.
Class act.
In his car, he's driving down to Torrey Pines when LA Open was first, before that, right?
And his phone was this big. And...
No, it wasn't that big. Not quite. That was about 10 years earlier.
Right, yeah.
But whatever. But he's telling me, my caddy's driving right now, and I thought he was going to come on with me for like 2 minutes. We was on like for 15 minutes just BSing. And it was great. We talked about how he grew up in Canada and he loved hockey and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was fantastic. There aren't many like Mike Weir.
Yes. Then
He's a class act.
He's a throwback. Like he's what I would call one of the older pros. He still has that kind of.
Well, he is on the old tour now.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like there's not a lot of those guys. I mean, there's no one on the. There's obviously a lot left on the Champions Tour, but not anywhere on the regular PGA Tour. There's none of those guys. The last guy that I saw, and it was probably because his dad was in his ear so much, but for a number of years, I don't know if he's still active on tour, but he won the FedEx Cup one year. But Billy Haas carried himself like an older.
I got a great
tour
Billy
player.
Haas story.
Did he not? Like he had that old tour player
I
kind of
got
vibe.
a great Billy Haas story, and it's from the desert, by the way, which he won.
Because he won that year. I was there that year, yeah.
Okay, so he was the defending champ the next year,
Right.
Right, as they always try to bring in the defending champ on the media day. We get to play the course. We interview the defending champ, and they usually go home in 5 seconds and can't wait to get the hell out of there, right?
Yeah.
Billy, this is one of my favorite golf media stories. So we go out, and he's always a good guy, but whatever, they're good guys everywhere. So we did our interviews, and they say, okay, you go on the course and play around and enjoy, and then it's over, right? Sometimes they serve maybe drinks or hors d'oeuvres at the end, but pretty much it's over, right?
Yeah.
You can just get in your car and drive home. So we're finishing 18, and I'm getting off the green. And by the way, he did a nice little thing on the driving range, little lessons here and there, and stop individual people like, no, can you work on this a little? I mean, you don't see that very often either. But that's nothing compared to this, in my mind, right? So we get back, I get off 18, and the cart's driving back to the cart barn, and I look in the corner. I think that's Bill. It's like, what the hell is he doing there? So I drove over to him, and I said, what the hell are you? I mean, this is 4 hours later. He goes, I just stood here. I wanted to greet you all when you came back.
Wow.
I said, you gotta be kidding me.
Unbelievable.
I said, you should be bronzed and put in the damn room right now forever. That doesn't happen, buddy. He goes, what do you mean?
His dad raised him right.
I saw his dad, Jay, like a couple years later, and I walked over to him, and I told him that story, and he goes, yeah, that's Billy. You know.
That's great. That's
I mean, come on. Isn't that? I mean, that's just unbelievable.
And that's just how those guys were back in the day. There was such a level of respect, and the tour player carried themselves differently. You know, they treated, whether it was the members or the help or what have you, in a fashion that you just don't see these days. You know, and
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're trying to do as a company is shine a light on that era, because that era is under attack now. Everything's either racist or inclusive or whatever the fucking term they want to use. And it's like, well, yeah, there's that in everything. You can look back in history at all that shit, but there was a lot of good too. And the way those guys carried themselves, the camaraderie and the respect, and just that's what we're striving for.
It should never be forgotten, no matter what.
No
matter what.
That's just what you
I
do.
don't give a damn what's going on in the world. If there's World War III, you should still have respect, except for the idiot you're trying to kill. Outside of that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. There's war crimes too. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Write that down.
Yes. But let's tie a bow on our Arnold Palmer discussion.
Yeah.
Why don't you tell us your final encounter with Mr. Palmer was his last ceremonial tee shot at Augusta.
I might have to step out for this one.
Yeah. And by the way, I did want to say this. Ryan's two dogs are named Winnie and Arnie.
Unbelievable.
And he just named his daughter Palmer.
Yes.
So he loves Arnold Palmer, which why this might be a hard story for him to hear because it reminds us of Arnold's last time being on television at the Masters. But you were there.
Yep.
And you shook Arnold Palmer's hand on the day of his last ceremony.
It was, first of all, I was standing talking to Fuzzy Zeller for probably at least 20 minutes.
Another great guy.
Yeah, phenomenal. Just phenomenal. Every time I see him at the Masters, I don't know him at all, but he treats me like his old friend.
Another great guy.
Every time. Yep. Hey, what's going on? And then he takes me to the corner, we start talking. And he started crying into my microphone. I was doing an interview. I did a podcast with, God, I can't remember now. It was like something about 9 or 10 former Masters champs that were there, right? And I interviewed them all, and I edited it all together and did a podcast. And it's pretty neat. There's really some old school guys and some newer guys. Ben Crenshaw's in there. You know, I loved it. One of my favorite things I've ever done in Augusta. I've been there several times. So
how many?
I think I've been there 6 or 7.
Boy, I'd like to punch you 6 or 7 times.
Well, it's all right. Just maybe on my shoe. Is that okay?
Sure. Okay. Go on.
If you ever need an assistant.
Yes.
Yeah, of course. Well, guys, and I talk about this in one of the stories in my book. The fact that it took me 25 years to get a credential. Sure. I mean, every time they saw the name Ted Sobel, they got calluses from hitting the delete button.
Yeah. Did you not feel...
And by the way, that was before computers. I was sending letters.
Did you not feel like you opened up a fucking Willy Wonka candy bar and got a golden ticket? Or what?
The first time?
Yeah.
The first time, I really felt like I was 15 years old again.
Totally.
It was unbelievable.
I can't even believe it.
It was like, and that's what I said that throughout the day.
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe they let me in.
Yeah.
You know, and then... And you got to know this, that the radio row that they have, there was an old media room, and now they got a giant. I mean, it looks like a 5-star hotel. Their brand new media center. It's phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's just incredible.
Yep.
But
They,
the old
they
one,
just do such a good job, don't they?
well, yeah, but they got enough
got
money
bucks.
to do whatever
Yeah,
they
they got
wanted. That helps. So anyway, they rebuilt this place. But the first time I was there, and I didn't know this because I'd never been there, I started asking around. I said, what is this about Radio Row? And they said, well, it's very limited. You know, there's nobody outside of basically the big wigs, the networks and here and there that's going to. So I said, well, what the hell am I doing here then? You know, just because I'm from LA means zero to them.
KFWR.
B. Try again.
Well, you just killed my resume with that R.
Yeah.
What do you care?
Hey, keep me around long enough, I'll kill a lot more than that.
Exactly. So anyway, so I'm saying, what is it about this Radio Row thing? He goes, do you have any idea how select a group this? There were, I think, the first year I was there, it was like 14 people were credentialed
Wow.
in the world in the Radio Row. That's it. And I got credentialed. It's like, how the hell did I pull that off? So it's pretty neat when you
Yeah.
think about that, right?
Yes.
And the same thing happened when I went to the Open Championship for the first time. I was at Wimbledon first because then it was 2 weeks apart.
Yeah.
Now it's the next week.
Well, we call that a fortnight over there.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
But so I'm at Wimbledon, right? And I meet. They're both run by IMG, the media part of it.
Yeah.
So the woman says to me, "Hey, we really liked." I was talking to Serena Williams. She just finished the Serena Slam, right? So I was like, I was talking to her in the room, and they called me over, and I was looking for this woman the whole time who credentialed me. I was there for like 4 days. I never saw her. I wanted to thank her.
Yeah.
Right. So she called me over. I didn't even know it was her. She says, "Ted, I'm whatever her name was," and she says, "Hey, we've been watching you." I said, "Is that good or bad?"
Shit.
It's like, what is this, the FBI in London? What the hell's
Yeah,
going on?
yeah.
And anyway, we like how
We
you
call
work.
it Interpol over there.
Okay,
Go
yes.
on.
We like how you work the room.
Yeah.
I said, I'm not Dean Martin. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But whatever. And so they said, you're good. You're credentialed whenever you want to be. It's like,
Unbelievable.
are you serious?
Yeah.
And then, I was already going to the Open. So they still, to this day, send me credentials to go to the Open Championship.
Yeah. Wow.
And I haven't been there in 5 years.
Wow.
That's pretty neat stuff, isn't it?
That's great.
So when I'm there at the Masters doing this, I'm thinking, boy, people think I'm lucky. I think I'm lucky to be
Yeah.
there.
What are the chances of me putting your lanyard on and getting in?
I think it's called -0.
Wow. That's an absolute number.
Yeah.
I get that a lot.
So
And I'm not even female, but that's okay.
Yeah.
let's go back to the ceremonial tee
Not that
box.
I know of.
Oh, yeah, so
You've now
Zeller-
talked to Fuzzy
Yes.
Zeller,
Yes.
and Arnold is coming out.
Yes. Arnold comes out, and we hadn't seen him. He was, he came, there was
This
a back
is his
leg.
last one, right?
The last one he was ever there. He comes out from the I always forget the name of that specific one, but it's sort of the club. I guess it's the clubhouse where they come straight out, right?
Uh-huh.
And he looks really frail. I mean, I couldn't. First, I looked at him. Was like, is that Arnold? And he was maybe 100 feet away,
Wow.
and I couldn't even believe it.
And you have described Arnold Palmer as the John Wayne of golf, larger than life, not only in
A man's man.
a man's man, not only in the way people feel about him, but in the way that he looks.
The way he acted too. He acted. It was a confidence thing. When he walked in the room, it was like, "Hey, Arnold's here." When I walk in the room, it's like, "Who gives a damn? To keep eating." It's a big difference when anybody walks into a room.
Right.
But Arnold was just something. He had that aura, that whatever that special thing is. Like somebody put the pixie dust on him
Yeah.
when he was born.
What
right?
we like to call it now is BDE, big dick energy.
I never would have called it that, but thanks for letting me know.
It's a,
You
it's
got
a,
it.
it's a, it's a
Do I
model.
have to use that for
No,
now?
you don't have to.
Well, you kind of do. So anyway, you see Arnold. He's coming out. He's frail. You're on the tee box.
No, I'm not in the tee box. I'm right at the entrance, so he gets into the cart in front of me,
got
and
it.
they got to drive up this little pathway to the tee box.
Okay, perfect.
All right?
Yep.
I couldn't get near the tee box. There was too many people. And to be honest, I didn't really want to be there. I was enjoying the whole thing just talking to Fuzzy. That was great to me.
Yeah.
I mean, not just that he's a former champ, but you know how he is. He's just a blast to talk to.
Charismatic guy.
Just he said, "Here's my number, call me anytime," that kind of guy, right?
Yep,
Just
yep.
really great. Great guy. So I'm talking to Fuzzy, and then the buzz starts, and you can see Arnold coming out of the cabin, and so we walked over a little closer. There's a cart between me and Arnold, shaking a few people's hands, and then the buzz starts, because most of the people are at the tee.
Right.
Which is about, I don't know, maybe
So it's kind of like a behind the scenes.
a couple hundred yards away,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe 150 yards away, right? I'm sorry, not yards, 150 feet away. A couple hundred feet away, not in the yards. It's not that far. So the few people, some photographers are right there, and they're watching him get ready. Just they're greeting him, and he is really walking slowly. And I'm on the other side of the cart, and he walks up to the cart, and the guy's going to drive him in. The driver of the cart hadn't gotten in yet. So Arnold stands over, and he grabs the cart. I'll never forget this. He grabs the cart, and he looks up. And he just happened to look up at me. I was standing maybe 5 to 10 feet on the other side of the cart. And he just looks at me, and he smiles, right? So I said, Arnold, it's great to see you. Yeah, that's it. It's great to see you, and just have a blast today or something like that. And we both sort of at the same time stuck our hand through the openings in the cart just to shake hands. And as he grabbed my hand, which was not the same old
Alligator
grip,
arm.
like when he gripped your hand, it was a giant grip around your hand. It was soft. It was weak, it was frail, and it was scary to me because the second my skin touched his, he started to wobble. And I'm thinking, you got to be kidding me. I mean, I literally got scared. I'm thinking he might fall down. His balance was way off. That's why they didn't want him to swing the club anymore. And
Which speaks volumes about the man. In that state, seeing you and reaching over and risking all that just to be a gentleman, what a fucking guy.
Unbelievable. And my whole thing, it probably lasted 5 seconds, but it felt like an hour and a half.
Totally.
And I'm thinking, now the guy with the strongest grip in the history of the world it's up to my little grip to make sure he stays straight. And I'm doing this, and I'm like, I'm doing whatever I can. I felt it in my shoulder. I was gripping so tight to make sure that he didn't tip over.
Right.
And then you sort of saw him gather himself, and then he sat into the cart.
Yeah.
And I just took the biggest sigh of relief, because if he fell down while he was shaking my hand, I would have looked like the biggest fool of all time, even though I didn't do anything wrong.
Right.
It was just, all time.
It's just, avoid that at all costs.
And that was the last time you saw Arnold Palmer?
Well, he went to the tee, and if you saw that, if you remember it,
that was the one he sat down.
He sat down, exactly. Sat down, and he just watched, and he applauded a little bit.
That was hard. That was.
It was hard to watch.
It was.
And Jack and Gary recognized him, of course, and as did the president of the club, as they always do. And then they got him back into the cart, and he drove back to us. And I was talking to Fuzzy most of that time during the entire ceremony, right? Almost the entire time, Fuzzy and I were talking. And he was like crying. I'm starting to feel it now.
I know.
He's like, I can't see Arnold like this. I can't see him like this.
Yeah.
It was hard.
It's like you weren't supposed to. You know what I mean? That's what
I almost wish he wasn't there, besides having a great story for my book on a selfish note. But, that's secondary, obviously.
You know what I cried more at?
What?
Was the following year when they put his jacket on the chair
Yep.
and he wasn't there.
Yep.
That's when it really hit
I
you
was
like
there
a
for
ton
that,
of
too.
bricks. That was a hard one. To
Okay,
look at.
but what happened was they drive Arnold back in the cart, and he goes back into the same opening. I think he did his last interview at the Masters with Jim Nantz right after that. It's online if you've ever seen it. He actually, I don't know if they put makeup on him, or I don't know. He looked a little better. He was obviously, he wasn't himself, but he did okay.
Yeah.
I remember that.
He gathered himself enough. He was decent. It wasn't embarrassing, or it wasn't like, I can't watch this kind of thing. I was surprised and pleasantly surprised.
Good.
It was decent.
Yeah.
But as they drove off right past us, I'm standing talking to Barbara Nicholas and Fuzzy and a couple of other people. Somebody introduced me to Barbara, and you talk about nice. She's the queen of the wives and the moms on the tour. Not even close. She's an unbelievable person. She really is amazing. And we talked, and everybody was holding back tears. And Barbara and I said almost the exact time, we're never going to see him here again.
I think everybody who is a fan of his wholeheartedly knew that day, and that's why that was so hard to watch. It's
But
just
to be there and to be the last guy to shake his hand before he went out, it was like, of all people, me. I mean, I just shouldn't shake his hand to do anything. I wasn't being Jim Gray, where I got to be the guy. Hey, look at me. I'm not like that.
Gray.
Yeah, don't get me started. I got stories about him. But
I bet you.
Boy,
do.
would
That
I
guy-
like to get those
Yeah.
on air, off air.
Yeah.
Some people just have a punchable face.
Unbelievable.
well, that's part of the story, but that's for another podcast.
On that note, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with part 2 with Ted Sobel, author of Touching Greatness. We're going to talk about the 1995 PGA Championship at Riviera and all of Ted's stories with Tiger Woods. We will be right back with part 2 with Ted Sobel.